Hey everyone, and welcome to the first ever BR in-depth analysis. This is basically an extension to Path.exe's Gunsmith briefing series, but it's primarily focused on BR. Keep in mind that basically all the stats apply to multiplayer as well. Today we are covering the AK-47 assault rifle. This is a very popular close-range weapon inside of Battle Royale, and for good reasons too. Sorry if you expected BR gameplay, I suck at BR, so just deal with multiplayer gameplay. With that being said, let's begin with the damage. There are 3 damage phases on this weapon. The first phase ranges from 0 meters to 29 meters, with the base damage being 33 and armor damage dropping off accordingly. The second damage phase ranges from 30 meters to 36 meters and deals 25 base damage. The third and final phase is 37 meters and above and will hit for 24 base damage. This is a very high damage profile and the range is very impressive. Now let's get into the universal stats of the weapon. These are the stats that will not change no matter what attachments you equip. Rate of fire is slow at 562 rounds per minute, or 730 rounds per minute with the special ammo. Therefore, your time to kill will increase by a massive 107 milliseconds for every shot you miss, or 82 milliseconds with the special ammo. Headshot multiplier is standard for ARs at 1.2x, or a unique 1.25x with the special ammo. Drop time is 383 milliseconds, and race time is 616 milliseconds. This is kind of slow, but in game it will feel surprisingly fast because of its animation. Material penetration is medium, same as all other assault rifles. Now here are the BR specific stats. The AK-47 fires heavy ammo, which is easy to find. There are 2 variants available, those being the blue and the gold. Bullet velocity is standard at 700 meters per second. And here are the base weapon stats that can be changed. Recoil may feel very high in game, and that's because of the weapon's immense visual kick. But the actual recoil is relatively moderate and mainly vertical. It will basically feel like the HPR-A3. Here is the 50-round recoil pattern. The first 13 shots all have very high recoil, but after that, the recoil begins to settle and the weapon will feel like a beam. Hipfire performance is moderate to poor. Due to the weapon's slow rate of fire, you should not rely on hipfire. Mobility is just a little bit below average at 92%, sprinting and 30% strafing. ADS time is slow and below average at 300 milliseconds, and sprint out time is standard at 116 milliseconds. Magazine capacity is standard at 30 rounds, with full reloads taking 2.3 seconds to complete and reload canceling taking 1.8 seconds. So you should do the reload cancel technique whenever possible. With all of these stats covered, let's get into the time to kill. For the sake of keeping things short and simple, I will only go into the time to kill against max protection in the commentary, but you can feel free to pause the video and look at every possible time to kill. In range number 1, which as a reminder is 0 to 29 meters, the weapon will take 9 body shots to kill, and the time to kill is faster than average, at 854 milliseconds. And you can reduce the time to kill massively down to 747 milliseconds by just hitting 1 headshot. So it'll be 7 shots to anywhere and 1 shot to the head. You can also 7-shot kill with 100% headshot accuracy, but that's basically impossible. Moving on to range number 2, 29 to 36 meters, the weapon starts to fall off, and you might lose the other more accurate ARs like the AK-24 and Man of War. It will take 11 shots to kill, and the time to kill being 1067 milliseconds. You can achieve a 960 milliseconds time to kill by achieving 50% headshot accuracy, but that's pretty much impossible. Moving on to the third and final range, 37 meters and above, you will need 12 body shots to kill, and the time to kill being 1174 milliseconds. You can reduce the time to kill down to 1067 milliseconds by hitting 2 headshots, which is worth going for. Or you can even further reduce the time to kill by achieving 70% headshot accuracy, but that's basically impossible. From this, you can draw the conclusion the AK-47 is a close quarters combat weapon and is extremely rewarding for hitting headshots. So you should stick to close range and aim for the head as much as possible. Now let's get into the in-game variants of the weapon. The rare variant is relatively easy to find and comes with tactical laser, combat stock, and a reserved optic slot. This is a close quarters build designed to play the weapon's niche. ADS speed is reduced down to 250 milliseconds at a cost of accuracy. But the recoil is still pretty much controllable for most players. The gold variant is very hard to come by as ground loot and is still uncommon in airdrops. It comes with marksman barrel, range of foregrip, 50 round extended mag, strike stock, and a reserved optic slot. This is clearly a range build designed to maximize recoil control, but this is a huge but. It absolutely nukes your ADS speed. It sends your ADS speed straight down to sniper rifle levels, not even kidding. In return, you get significantly less recoil. The weapon will feel like the ICR. Mobility is slightly reduced, but not by much, and if you need a visualization, this is what 30% range boost from the marksman barrel looks like. In my opinion, you should always drop the gold variant for the blue. The AK-47 is a CQB weapon. You should build for speed, not accuracy. Before I go into Gunsmith, let's go over the weapon-specific attachments. Half.exe already went over the universal attachments in one of his videos, and I will not go over them again because that's plagiarism. Instead, I will leave a link to that video in the description and pinned comments. Back to the topic, let's begin with the barrels. The light short barrel reduces ADS speed by 50 milliseconds, grants extra mobility at a cost of more aim shake and 9% more vertical recoil. This is very good, and it's a must-have on any CQB build. Ranger barrel is somehow longer than marksman. It gives 40% range boost, cuts vertical recoil by 18%, and reduces aim shake. This looks amazing until you realize it gives 50 milliseconds longer ADS speed. This is problematic, and since this is a CQB weapon, you have to stack ADS speed with the 4 slots remaining. Marksman barrel is shorter than the Ranger, and is extremely bad. 30% range boost, minus 22% vertical recoil, and less aim shake, at a cost of 66 milliseconds ADS speed. Yes, Ranger really is longer than marksman, and somehow have less cons, so it's safe to say that marksman is pretty much useless on the AK, and you should not use it. Well, not that you should be using the longer barrels anyways. The light short barrel is just simply too good. The extended light barrel is probably the most balanced barrel out of them all, but still not good. 20% range boost, less aim shake, only at the cost of 33 milliseconds on their ADS speed. This barrel would be pretty good on most weapons, but because the AK is a Russian weapon and has some of the most overpowered barrels in the entire game, it is just simply outshined by the others. Now onto the magazine mods. Extended mag A gives 40 rounds per mag with basically unnoticeable downsides. The 50 round mag is unnecessary because it is a high damage, slow firing weapon. But the downsides are still relatively low. The 5.45 cartridge is interesting. It raises the fire rate to 730 rounds per minute and boosts the headshot multiplier to a unique 1.25x. It reworks damage and range to be more CQB suited, and reworks the barrel to be much stronger. Oh, and all of these comes at a cost of 31% more vertical recoil. Yes, 31%. Have fun with that. Here are the reworked damage ranges. This is overall low damage, and range is poor. However, barrels are on steroids. Yes, I was equally as shocked as you are. Despite all of these, the 5.45 caliber cartridge is not good in BR. By that, I mean really bad. Here's why. 1. Time to kill favors damage over fire rate, so the time to kill will be slower. So that's one selling point of the weapon gone. 2. It reduces range, so it practically removes 2 of the weapon's biggest selling points. 5.45 is okay in multiplayer though. Half will cover it soon. Alright, it's finally time for a recommended Gunsmith build. And this one is probably the best build possible for playing the weapon's intended niche inside of BR. You will be using light short barrel, tactical laser, operator foregrip, strike stock, and 40 round extended mag. The extended mag can be switched out for granulated grip tape if you're playing solos. And if you somehow find the iron sights difficult to use an optic instead of the mag. Now let me explain the build. Some people will probably use the Ranger over the light short barrel because 40% range boost is too tempting. But to that, I say no. The base range is already impressive. 40% range boost is overkill. After all, this is a CQB weapon. You should focus more on reaction time than range. Tactical laser shouldn't need an explanation here. It's a must-have on every AR. Strike stock doesn't need an explanation either. Strafing speed doesn't matter in BR, especially for an AR. So with strike stock, you basically get some free accuracy boost with practically no downsides. Now, operator foregrip. The reason why I didn't use Ranger foregrip is because the operator is miles more efficient. The reason why I didn't use strike foregrip is because the operator offers better vertical recoil control, so therefore extends your maximum engagement distance more than strike foregrip does. Now let's get into the build summary. This is a CQB build to maximize the weapon's niche, while still providing some amount of recoil reduction. ADS speed is reduced down to 233 milliseconds, which is good enough for CQB. Recoil is slightly reduced to increase your maximum engagement distance. Overall, this is probably the best AK-47 build in BR. This isn't the most balanced build. This build is specifically designed to help play the weapon's niche of CQB while still being an AR. Now for the short multiplayer segment. For multiplayer use of the weapon, use light short barrel, tactical laser, operator foregrip, granulated grip tape, and the no stock attachment. With this build, you get a fast ADS SMG that kills slow but has way more range. ADS speed is reduced to 200 milliseconds, so it's the same as QQ9 and Fennec. Recoil is increased by a bit, but you should still be able to control the recoil up to about 30 meters. Sprint speed is increased to 6.7 meters per second, but it's still a tad bit slower than SMG standard. Strafing speed is reduced by 1%, but you probably wouldn't be able to feel it. And, in case you were wondering, this is the class I've been using in the gameplay. That is all for this video. Thank you for watching. Have a good day or night. Going dark.